What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. Let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. Okay, today we have this tattoo of Prigozhin, and the guy in the comments basically he's saying that he decided to picture the best moments of his life. It was not when he got married, it was not when he got born, the parents, the friends, it was not when his kid was born, no. This was the time when he was a part of a private military company Wagner under the leadership of Yevgeny Prigozhin. And by the way, guys, if any of you are tattoo masters or if you know how much approximately tattoos cost, let us know down below in the comments. Does this look like a $300 tattoo or is this a 300 rubles tattoo? Yes, let us know down below in the comments. Alright. Enough with this clownship, let me give you a very brief update from the south and the east of Ukraine, and then we're gonna talk about Ukrainians breaching the Russian border. Guys, this is a huge news. To begin with, in Crimea, local residents reported some loud noises which were coming from the direction of Zhovtneve Russian airfield. In Zaporozhye, in Nistyanka, Russian soldiers, they kinda used this abandoned building as their temporarily military base. Ukrainians saw it, they used Hammer, and well, then this building, you already can estimate, can guess what happened next. In Mariupol also some very loud noises were reported by local residents, and this time it came from the direction of the Russian military unit. But unfortunately, there are some not so good news right now from the eastern front line specifically. Russians are making minor to medium advancement closer to Pokrovsky settlement, and for example, the settlement called New York, which is exactly the very same as in America, but this one is obviously Ukrainian. Russians they try to enter the city center. There was some small diversion groups entering and leaving the city center. They were even able to install their flag in one of the local abandoned schools. Well, and then according to this map you can see the changes in territorial control, which are relatively significant speaking in terms of the advancement of the Z army for the last several days. Also, the intensity of Russian offensive along Chasiv Yar front line also increased recently, but so far Ukrainians are able to repel these attacks. Also, some heavy battles are happening next to Konstantinivka. So far Ukrainians are holding their ground, and unfortunately in Kharkov there was yet another arrival of the Russian metallic cylinders almost in the city center. But without a doubt the most significant event of the last 24 hours is that this last Tuesday, approximately 8 AM local Russian time, reportedly, approximately 300 Ukrainian soldiers, along with a couple of dozen military vehicles of various kinds, they did cross the border and started advancing closer to Kursk direction. One of the first two cities on their way, which Ukrainians were able to reach extremely fast, were Kurilivka and Goncharivka. They met almost no resistance from the Z army. And then the next relatively major city on their way in was called Sudzha. Ukrainians reportedly entered as well. And according to the representatives of the Ukrainian army, they did see some representatives of the Akhmat battalion, basically Kadyrov Chechens, along with the representatives of the Z army. They literally fled their positions with absolutely no resistance. Even American M1132 Strikers were spotted used by Ukrainians to clear the underground surprises on their way to Kursk. And then even more infantry fighting vehicles Strikers were also spotted driving along these highways. Along the way, Ukrainians, whenever they were spotting any single piece of Russian military equipment, they were obviously destroying it. Specifically, two trucks which were carrying Russian T-62Ms were once again became non-existent, to be politically correct. And long story short, it was also being reported by Ukrainians that Russians, they keep extremely old and outdated equipment in these areas next to the border between Russia and Ukraine, because the ones which are more modern are actually sent to Ukraine. Apparently Russians are not even expecting that Ukrainians can breach the border and attack those neighboring cities. That is why they pay so little attention to defending their own country. And then we even have some statements that Ukrainians were able to intercept Russian Ka-52 helicopters, and at least one of them was confirmed, potentially we have two of them. And well, now is the most interesting part. The response of the Russian propaganda and the Ministry of Defense. Speaking about the Russian propaganda, this was absolutely insignificant event. I mean, like, so what? Like, what happened? I mean, yeah, maybe Ukrainians crossed the border, 300 of them, Russian army was absolutely not resisting them, couldn't do anything, but yeah, it's like, it's not even worthy our time to discuss those things. Then the Ministry of Defense of Russia claimed that the whole even breach attempt never happened. They were able to stop Ukrainians before they even crossed the border. And later on, several hours later, they said that, well, yes, they did cross the border, but were able to repel the attack and send them back to Ukraine. But the temporary governor of Kursk region, Mr. Smirnov, he literally said, don't believe those guys. I mean, I am right here. I'm the governor of this region. I do see the presence of Ukrainians, I do see their vehicles. I mean, I have no idea where the Ministry of Defense of Russia gets their data from, because I can see clear things with our own eyes, with his own eyes. He then urged the local residents not to panic, not to make any rash decisions. Eventually, hopefully this problem will resolve itself somehow mysteriously. And then we already started receiving some information already from the Z Telegram channels, which are basically confirming the fact that indeed this event happened. And one of the most influential messages they did send is that, well, at this point, Russia has absolutely no control over their own border. And because of this, the Z army right now is panicking. They are calling for reinforcements to bring whoever they can, even if it means that bringing those forces from the actual Ukrainian eastern front lines. And this is exactly what happened. Reportedly, a lot of hundreds, if not thousands of these soldiers, they fled, abandoned their positions along Seversk front line, where the activities are not that intense recently, and they were emergently redeployed to Kursk to try and to protect the city. And besides obviously the infantry, Russians brought their aviation, at least couple Sus were spotted flying as fast as they can towards Kursk. And then obviously the military vehicles were also driving towards Kursk as fast as they can, but these targets are much easier for Ukrainians to stop them, and well, this is exactly what they did. Reportedly, the entire military convoy of the Russian military vehicles was stopped in place. This is yet just one of the another perfect examples, the complete different worlds within even one country, Russia, where you have the Z propaganda and the Ministry of Defense of Russia, and obviously Putin, who lives in their own world and they receive their own data that everything is good, Ukrainians are not doing anything, and then you have the real world, even the governor of Kursk saying that no guys, you are lying, this is not true, we see Ukrainians ourselves. I have no idea what you're talking about, which I would say perfectly describes the situation for regular Russians who are living still inside the country. And wait, there is more. I decided to make a little experiment in today's episode. How about we make another ridiculous Russian propaganda as a last chapter with even more ridiculous commentary. So guys, go ahead and check on my Patreon. This is an extra chapter. If you want to continue watching, the link to my Patreon is down below. Please let me know down below on the Patreon comments what do you think about this experiment. How does two Russian propagandas sound like? Well, there you have it. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel if this was interesting and informative for both. All the other useful links are down below. PayPal donations, Patreon, Instagram, merch, hoodies, t-shirts, cases. Everything is down below. Thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow.
All night long, the Russian dude, he'll drink and dance and never brew with a smile.